Hello everybody and welcome back to part 2 of my fountain pen collection videos. Last time I left you we were going to look at some paper choices because I started to buy a few pens now and I wanted to test some of the pens out on some paper, but I did not have any good quality paper, so I went out and bought some Rhodia paper, as you can see here, and also Clairefontaine, which essentially is the same paper because Rhodia and Clairefontaine are part of each other. I think Clairefontaine was the original. They were founded in 1858 in a small town called Clairefontaine, which hence the name. And I think in 1997 they purchased Rhodia, which is a big name in the paper market. Rhodia and Clairefontaine, so essentially they should be the same paper. There's not for right now we're using a 90 milligram GSM paper. I mean the idea of why this paper is preferred in the pen world is because they're using an acid-free paper, so pH neutral. It lasts longer. Supposedly the drying is a lot quicker as well, so this is something I wanted to test out in this video. I've already made some samples already to save some time. Here I started off with some new purchases. So since the last time I've added a Lamy Vista fountain pen. I don't know if you can see that it's in a 1.5mm stub nib. I mean, I'm a big fan of the broad nibs, as I mentioned in the last video, so I wanted to get a even bigger nib than the 1.1 twsbi I was using. So here I'm testing out a Lamy Vista 1.5mm nib, and today I have Diamine oxblood in the pen, so I managed to get a converter fitted. As you can see, the converter is quite handy because I much prefer using these converters over the cartridges, because you know you have a bit more choice in the inks available, and you know, just using the old Lamy fabricated ink cartridges is it gets a little bit tiresome after a short while. So I wanted to experiment with some inks, and so today I'm using the Lamy Vista with the oxblood against the twsbi, which is using a Waterman red ink. This is the 1.1mm nib. So I started to write on this Clairefontaine paper, and with the usual stuff, with your normal strokes, calligraphy strokes. And then what I've done is added a series of lines here to measure the drying times. So here on the first line, you see after 1 second there's quite a smear with the ink with the Lamy Vista oxblood, and again after 5 seconds not much change, slightly better, but still it didn't really dry. So after 10 seconds more of the same, 15 seconds it almost looks like it got worse, but actually this is almost the same. After 30 seconds it's getting better. I mean it's slowly drying up, and after 45 seconds, to quite some surprise, it's completely dried up. So I mean it's looking around the 45 second mark on this Clairefontaine paper with this ink. So, and then what I did was to do the same with the twsbi Eco Fountain pen, 1.1mm stub nib, using the Waterman ink. So the same with the lines. And then, as you can see here, there's actually quite a hefty smear. I mean, it's covering the whole word basically, and it kind of suggests that the pen has really good ink flow, or either the ink itself is very, very thin and loose, basically flowing extremely well, because after 5 seconds you still see a huge amount of smear. 10 seconds, and then as you go further down to 15 seconds, it starts to dry up. And as with the Lamy Vista Diamine oxblood, it's drying about the same time, but I think the difference is with the amount of smear that you get with the ink is kind of the key here. So I decided to try also with a blue ink. This is a Schaefer, using the italic 2.0mm nib. Again, this is using Schaefer's own cartridges, so what you see after the first second is a huge amount of smear, but then as you pass by the seconds, 5 seconds and 10, you know, it kind of dries very quickly, and after 15 seconds it was completely dry. So what we can see from this is actually the drying times do vary a great deal. I mean, some of the inks are drying a lot faster than others. Again, this is I've decided to try with a green ink. This is Kaweco's ink cartridges, and again, similar to the Lamy, the Schaefer cartridges, you see the drying times are closer to the 15 seconds. I don't know if that's the difference between the cartridges and the bottled inks. I mean, maybe if you know a little bit more, please leave a comment in the video below. So I mean, I've only just really started on the experimenting and with the inks, so I'm seeing things I like and some things I dislike, and hopefully in a few weeks time I will decide which inks I like best, and with some kind of reasoning as to why that is so. Also looked at some Pilot ink. So this is the very expensive Pilot Japanese ink. This is I think it's Morning Glory, I think it's called. Kind of really like the color of this blue black. So what I'm going to try to do is recreate this blue black ink as it was. I mean, I know it's quite expensive, $35 a bottle. When you're just starting off, it's quite expensive. I mean, I'm trying to finish my collection, not with a set amount of budget or set amount of time, but you know, as I go along, I'll make the adjustments as I need to. Here, I mean, when you're just starting off, this Diamine bottle, I think 80 mils, is probably about $10-12. So you're looking at a third of the price, and you probably get more. I think the Pilot comes in 50 mils, so this is 80 mils. So I mean, for testing purposes, I think you can experiment with the cheaper options first, if that helps you in your collection. I've also been visiting some pen stores, so that's another thing that I wanted to talk about. I've just got back from my travels, and I visited 3 pen stores in Holland and one in Belgium. So the first one in Holland was a small store in Delft. It was called Fonto Plumo. Very nice and friendly. This is where I purchased the Kaweco Supra. I mean, I always recommend that you you visit the stores and test out some of the pens, because I mean, what I've been doing is reading the websites and forums, and people say this is great and this is rubbish, and actually you need to really kind of find out for yourselves. And so Fonto Plumo in Delft, it's a small store. Again, if you're visiting, it's nice and friendly. It's nice and quiet as well. They don't open every day. They only open 2 days. The guy that runs it is doing this as a hobby, along his regular job. So I mean, he is passionate about what he's doing, but it's more for a hobby for him. So he really spends the time to help you out, to get you the right pen, rather than make huge amounts of money like some other companies. The second one is Appelboom. I mean, they're more internet based, but actually I went to visit the store in Laren, or Laren it's called. It's in basically it's in the middle of nowhere, this place. It's in the north of Holland, just a little bit above Utrecht. So I mean, it's a nice store. I mean, I spent maybe an hour in the store looking at all the products, and the gentleman was very helpful. And this is where I purchased the Lamy Vista in the 1.9. In the 1.5 millimeter stub. I mean, you can mix them. It will basically just let me mix and match the nibs with the pen body that I wanted. So, and also was able to test the pen out at the same time. The other one in Holland was PW Ackerman. I think this is the biggest pen store in Holland. Well, certainly the most famous one, I think, in terms of choice. Again, very professional. I think a good layout, good location. Where they are located, they have a lot of passing trade, so the store is very busy with tourists and locals. But you know, I found them to be a little bit expensive compared to the other two. But in terms of wide range of stock and knowledge, and the showcase of pens, it doesn't get any better, really. I mean, I could spend all day in that store. Unfortunately, I didn't buy anything from that store that day. It was just far too busy for me to queue up and to test out some pens. So I just had a good look and noted down some prices. Was looking at the Sailor pen with a music nib, but again, I really wanted a bit more time to test out the pens before I commit to a purchase. And so, but it's well worth a visit. I will be going back to the store at some point, but it was a very nice store. The other one was in Belgium. It was a store called Cox, Kockx, in Antwerp. Again, this was a nice professional store. I mean, it was nice and tidy. It's in the middle of town centre, so if you're ever visiting that part of the area, pay them a visit. They had a nice collection of pens on offer, and this is where I tested the pilot pens. I mean, they had a pilot pen out open for you to test, so that was kind of nice. And I probably will go back for the pilot capless. I mean, I've been talking about it for 2 videos now, and I kind of really like the retractable motion of the pen. I mean, I did look at other variations of a capless pen. One was from Visconti, and that was like a twist motion to kind of reveal the pen. And Lamy also makes a version which is about $350, but this Visconti was a little bit out of the price range bracket. I think it was over 2,000 for this Visconti. So I will continue to search for alternatives. I think Pilot capless is still on my shopping list, so maybe I will go for that. So what else I wanted to talk to you about was the if you're just starting off, I mean, I recommend you to research it a lot more first before going out to the shops and deciding what pens you want to buy. I mean, I started off looking at just browsing YouTube videos, Wikipedia. Goulet Pens is a very good one as a website. Jet Pens is also another good one. I mean, just read up about what pens are available out there. I mean, a lot of these comparisons would have been done already, so you don't need to, kind of reinvent the wheel and just get a good idea of what you want, what's already available out there. Look at the comparisons already done, and then that would kind of narrow down your hobby, or your time frame if you want to collect, or your budget as well, if that's important to you. Certainly it is for me. I didn't set a budget in mind to finish this collection, or a time frame, but it will be done as cheap as possible and as quick as possible. So hopefully in the coming weeks I will post more videos, and hopefully I will post the final one with the finished collection. But for now, I'm also looking at pen cases. So here's a pen roll. I mean, this is not all fountain pens in here. It's a mixture of rollable pens in there. This is just an example of how the collection is progressing, whereby I'm looking at the storage options as well. Not just it's nice just buying the pens, but then you need to look after these pens. I mean, that's part of the collection and part of the hobby, I guess, whereby you clean the pens, which is probably what I'll talk about in my next videos, is the maintenance and cleaning of the pens. But certainly this pen roll was made by Lamy. I think it was very cheap. I think it was $15 or something like that. I mean, you can buy some nice leather bound pen rolls, but as a start I just wanted to see what types were suitable for me, whether it be the pen roll, the leather pen. This is by Lamy. It's a 2-pen case, and also this one is not so well known. It's by Miltech. It's basically it's army office type carry for your pens. So they kind of made some nice gaps here for you to put your pens in and secure your pens. I think this can be used for ink cartridges or ink converters. I never understood what this strap was for. I mean, there was also one here as well. Kind of, I think it was to carry around your neck or something, but I can't understand why. I mean, and then you also have 2 clips here. I think this is to fit around your belt, but again, I mean, this is like the fanny packs of the pen cases, but why would you want to carry it right in front of your face with 25 pens? I don't really know, to be honest. So if you know what these straps are for, probably to carry around your neck, or to put like a keychain or something. I'm not too sure, but if you do know, kindly let me know as well. I mean, one of the things I've been also trying to do this video was to buy some converters. So I recommend, these are not readily available in all stores, so basically I ordered from the internet multiples, basically of each different brand. So this is from the Pelican. This is nice motion, nice trim. This one is the Faber-Castell version. It feels very plasticky and cheap, and I think it was $2.50, and this was probably double the price at $4.60. But these are standard international fit cartridges, so you can use these in Pelicans, Faber-Castell, and all the other brands, even the Kaweco uses the same, so you could use it. You don't necessarily have to match the brand of the converter to the pen if it's with the international fitting. So with the Lamys, they had to basically use their own, but other than that, I much prefer to experiment with the inks rather than use the ink cartridges. That's one of the reasons why I highly recommend you get multiple cartridges converters like this, so you can mix and match your inks on all your pens rather than one or two pens. And hopefully next time I will talk about more store visits. I will talk about the cleaning of the ink pens and your maintenance basically, and also I will talk about more pen cases and more ink mixing. Hopefully to catch you next time. Okay, cheers.